morning, morning, good morning.
Good morning and welcome back to Youth Wednesdays on Tobago Updates here at Portmore, Scarborough. This morning we delve into a very high discussion that has been happening among our populace, of course, on the topic of dengue and what dengue brings about from the individual in terms of fever and whatever be the case. Yeah, so with us joining in studio is Mr. Ricardo Bobb, Public Inspector of the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection. Good morning to you, Mr. Bobb.
Good morning, and good morning, Tobago.
Good morning to you. Okay, so what is the role of the public health sector in our fight against dengue?
Well, of course, public health does a lot in the environment. Our main responsibility is in the environment. In terms of health promotion, one, in terms of keeping the environment in such a pristine condition, but more important, we do a lot of surveillance. So we have perifocal workers who will go to premises every single day of the year and looking for what we call foci of Aedes breeding.
Yeah.
Now, besides that, we also do residual spraying for adults. We engage in source reduction campaigns. We encourage the community to participate in taking care of their health. And I must say that several communities have been reaching out to us for assistance. And for the last 2 weekends, we've been in communities removing a lot of stuff. I'm sorry I don't have any pictures this morning, but maybe we can share some with you guys so you can put them out there. Communities are partnering with us and actually being proactive. Because one of the things we recognize is that, there are so many of us, but the community has a big role to play, and we are here to facilitate that process and to partner with the community as well.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned a lot. You mentioned a lot of your roles as the public health sector, and we're actually going to be delving into those today. We know that the minister spoke about fogging in Trinidad, and you mentioned that it will be done in Tobago. So, what is it that brings about the red flag to say this community has to be sprayed? Because we spoke to Dr. Faith B. Israel previously, and she mentioned that some communities will be targeted to be sprayed because of what infests the area. So what brings about that red flag?
All right, so let me distinguish between spraying and fogging.
Okay, thank you.
So we do what we call interdomiciliary spraying in terms of residents. Fogging is a more environmental aspect that uses a special mist. Primarily the chemical uses malathion. And the red flag will be clusters of cases.
Okay.
So let's say we were to see 10 cases in a community. That would kind of like alert us, hey, there may be a lot of infestation. Infestation may be high here, and we may need to fog. We'll look in the community because what fogging does is knock down adults right away. That's the objective because the adults are the ones that will spread the disease more easily. So that will be like a red flag. Areas that, let us say we were to have a lot of overgrown bushes and so on, along with the high infestation, along with the clusters, we may do fogging in those areas.
Okay. All right. And has anything been put in place to start the fogging process?
Well, we have put our systems on alert. That's what I could say. But for now, what we do is whenever there is a case, we are going to get into that community and do 100-meter surveillance in that area in terms of perifocal, residual spraying, source reduction, and so on. I must say here, one of the things that we want to really target are those areas that you have these scrap metal people who are doing these kinds of business and creating breeding sites. We also have things like our derelict vehicles. Many people have derelict vehicles. They have not been removing, and notices are going to be served. So we are encouraging the community even now, because remember, you live in the community. You must take some responsibility to assist. And there are things you could do. You can partner with us to help you along this path, as opposed to going the route of having to be fined.
All right, so you mentioned the fine, right?
Yeah.
And that you would be serving notices to members of the community who have these type of vehicles on the roadways that collect.
Whatever can breed, not just the roadway, but residences, those people who have a lot of stuff lining the roadways. This is the rainy season. You are going to get those utensils holding water. people must be responsible, and they shouldn't wait on us to tell them to comply, because the mosquitoes are biting them as well.
Yes. Okay, so walk with me here. When you do serve that notice, what is the next step as the public health sector in terms of following up and ensuring that these people move the debris, if so to
All
speak?
right, so the matter goes to court.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes to court, and we take it from there.
All right.
Yeah.
And in terms of the fine, so you all will be implementing the fine
Yeah,
into
well,
the
the
law.
fine is there in the law.
Okay.
It's for the process of serving the notice and following through with the court procedure.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is in place. It is there nationally, so it's not a Tobago thing. And sometimes people like to say things like, "You don't want to see black man this and that." I don't know where people get these things from. We want to do the wrong thing and expect to be right. We have a situation. As a matter of fact, we should not have even had this situation if people were vigilant, because this is something we do every single year. We have engaged in source reduction campaigns. We do it every year, and we are amazed. The more we remove is the more there is.
Right.
Then what some people do is that they would now bring back some of these things that we get rid of into the environment and create a problem. Not because there's economic flow means that people must not be conscientious. And this is what we're saying. We must care about not just ourselves, but our community. If we have to make this island, the greatest little island on the planet,
As
then
we
there are
all
some
are
things.
striving to do. Yes.
Well, sometimes I wonder. I don't think some people understand that. We need to be more conscientious about our environment.
Okay. So you did mention the procedure to follow in terms of to get rid of the debris so that fines won't be served. So what will the public health, you said, how do the inspections go? Would a schedule be sent out to say you're coming, or would you be making a random appearance?
No schedule. We just go out there. We are announcing that we are coming. One of the beautiful things about public health under the ordinance chapter 12 number 4 is that we have the authority to enter and inspect premises to carry out the provisions of the ordinance. And the ordinance with a lot of environmental things. You notice even through the COVID period that a lot of things were changed because environmental things come under the ordinance. So there's a lot of power there.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to be doing that. But I want to share with people that if you have stuff that you want to get rid of, every single day, public health remove white waste from premises. People call in 639-1433. And if you have your old stoves, old fridges, derelict material, as a matter of fact, walk around your home every day. And let me tell you why. I was walking around my home and looking, and then the reducer from the 2-inch into the 4-inch that has some little spaces there, I saw breathing in there. So what I did, I fill it up with some sand.
Okay.
You may be under construction and you left the holes for the rails. Water gets in there, mosquitoes are going to breed. Fill it up with some sand. I've seen breedings in beer bottle caps that somebody maybe just tossed. Snack wrapper, somebody just tossed. It hurts me to see these things. Mosquitoes need water, so we're going to eliminate the breeding sites. This is what our responsibility is, to eliminate breeding sites so we reduce the population, because the virus is here. It's not that it's not here, but we can break a link in the chain.
And it's been here before, so
oh yeah,
it should be, should I say, a proactive step in this case, because we've dealt with it before, and now that it's back on the rise, we should be doing proactive measures to reduce the amount of spread of dengue.
Yes.
You mentioned, let me bring back the whole topic of you inspecting areas, right? So is it recommended that the public health sector, the inspectors, they should make more visits to homes on a regular basis, so that in the event that you all tell people to remove white waste and these type of things, that you all reduce the build-up that happens after you all tell them to remove it?
Well, we do, we actually go to premises. Tobago's population is about 60,000. So the ratio of inspectors to the population is a little bit low, and moves are being made to augment that. The key is, as we go out in the environment, because we do not only have the inspectors, we have several categories of staff that go in the environment on a daily basis. When the perifocals go out and they recognize things, they feed that back to us. Then we have health control officers who are also in the environment. Then you have the inspectors who are in the environment. So there are several areas. One of the main challenges would be compliance, because compliance has some drawbacks to it. It means that you have to revisit. You may have to give time. Now, why should we have to do that? When, if you recognize a crisis, a potential threat in the environment, the residents really should be the first to respond. Now, in some communities, we have really quick responses. But in other communities, people are slow to respond, and I will share one of the reasons why. It's relationship. People's relationship with each other creates a lot of the problems. So I'm engaged in an enterprise that is hazardous. Let's say the people are doing the scrap metals, and they are not concerned about the other people in the environment, that these things are holding the water because they want to make $1. Now, it's not that we're saying you can't do that, but there is a way. You can get a 20-foot container, put the things inside there. You can cover them up, you know. Maybe there may be other areas you may have outside of these communities, as opposed to just bringing them there and then creating a nuisance in the community. Then you don't care. You get sick. I don't know if you've ever gotten dengue, but I got dengue. It is one of the worst things that you could ever experience. You feel as though somebody take a 2x4 and beat you. And then the pain in the back of the eyeball, that is, you know, then the fever that comes and goes, and the joint pain and so on. It is very debilitating. And I wouldn't wish that on even my enemy. So I'm telling you, I got dengue several years ago. It's not an easy thing.
All right. Has there been a date set for you to start fogging?
No, remember, it's not the date for fogging. It's based on what we find in the environment.
Okay.
So far, thank God, we have not seen clusters, which is a good thing. But it doesn't mean that that may not happen, and it could happen very fast.
Okay.
Very fast.
And how soon after you all recognize the clusters would the fogging be done?
Immediately. Let us say our response to dengue is almost in real time. If we get a case today, because we may be on another case today, but if we get a new case today, by tomorrow we are in that environment doing several things. Number one, the perifocal surveillance. That's the initial thing that is going to happen, and it happens kind of simultaneously. Notifying, because when we have to spray, we must notify the community. Why? Well, you have asthmatics, you have the elderly, you have people with exotic birds, you have people with bees, and these things. So it's not just going on fog, because let's say we were to do that. If we kill the bees, then the THC might have to pay a lot of money. And that has happened in the past, because you can be sued for destroying the people's exotic possession. So that notification will be within at least 2 days, 48 hours, because you must let them know there's a preparation that they have to make when we're coming into the homes to spray and even to fog. So it's not like we just go in and fog and just distress people. There is a process to be followed, and we follow that as far as possible. We have had some people refusing to have their premises sprayed. We really can't force them to have it sprayed, but we encourage them. Why? Because you are able to be protected, but you would have to be outside of your home for the duration of the spring, you know, and some people may be uncomfortable with that, but remember, it's for the good.
Yes, it is for the good, because mosquito, I mean, yes, dengue fever is one thing, but mosquito bites on a whole, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, let me just share. For the average population, a mosquito is a mosquito. But Tobago has probably about 25 to 30 species of mosquitoes. So it's not just one. And the only one that sings in the air is the culex. Not all mosquitoes sing. The only mosquitoes that sing in your ears is the culex mosquito, and that doesn't spread dengue as far as we know. It spreads a disease called filariasis, elephantitis.
Okay, right. And that is the enlarging of different limbs on the body. All right, so this discussion is getting pretty exciting. When Dr. Faith was here, she gave us the opportunity to message her directly or through her social media pages in terms of reporting the if our neighbors leave debris around the area. So when we come back from a short break, we'll discuss how we can get to the avenue of the public health sector,
Yes, sure.
right? And how we should make our reports and when we should make them. So before we take a short break, I encourage all of viewers who are with us to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
On Tobago updates here at Portmore Scarborough for viewers who are returning and for those of you joining us. Just reminding you that we are here with Mr. Ricardo Bobb, Public Inspector number 4 of the Division of Health, Wellness, and Social Protection. Right? So welcome back to our viewers. Mr. Bobb, we continue on.
Yes.
Before we left for a break, there was a question that I think a lot of us are burning to ask. What to do if my neighbor's debris is piling up? How do I make this report? Now, Dr. Faithy B. Israel, she answered this question from the perspective of the health secretary. We are now privileged to be with the public health inspector. So let's hear what he has to say. What should be done if my neighbor doesn't want to remove their debris and there is this big pile up in front of their house?
And that is an excellent question. We do have that challenge. Now, one, I always encourage folks, if you can talk to your neighbor, will be really good. Public health assist, you can call 639-1433 and say, I have some debris to be removed in terms of your white waste, not construction material and soil, and we will come and move it. We do that every single day. People call all the time. However, if your neighbor is not removing their debris and it is creating a nuisance, you can call us and lodge a complaint or come to the office, corner Robinson and Young Street, that's the old Scarborough Health Center.
Okay.
The number is 639-1433. And I'm saying it, if you call and you don't get an answer or the line is, occupied, then just call again because, lots of complaints come in. We get several complaints every single day, and that's not the only service that we offer. We do many other things. So if you're having a problem, let us know. We're going to come and check it out. But remember, all the complaints are important and none of us are omnipresent. So it doesn't mean because you call today, we can come today, because there are many things that are happening in the dengue response, as we said, but we are going to address all of them. But I encourage people, here's an opportunity to treat your neighbor better. Stop distressing your neighbor with your debris. Let us make the environment clean.
And sometimes we have to wonder if that neighbor is not under attack from these mosquitoes because, the debris is piling up.
But
So
there's
as
a
you
mindset
said,
that, needs
oh,
to change.
okay. All right. So you mentioned that you can come and you remove the debris. Yes. So is it a case that when we make the report, we could call you one time, if you all are available, and we can have a mediation between the neighbor and have the debris removed on the same day, or is it scheduled?
The debris that you call for will be your debris on your property.
Okay.
Now, if it's a complaint against a neighbor, then we first require that neighbor to remove that debris. That neighbor has that responsibility because they did not take advantage of the opportunity we offer. So if you know you have something on your premises distressing somebody, you can call us and we can assist you in removing it. But if somebody complains, that's a different story. You have the responsibility to remove it.
Okay. So I see this upcoming problem that is happening currently on the roadways is that when people clean their properties and stuff, they tend to dump on the roadways or in other large areas where they think the debris would somehow just disappear, right? Could you speak on this issue and how the public health sector chooses to address it?
Well, that's a challenge where people are now, in the past, when the population was smaller, people would burn stuff in the back of their houses. But now they're putting it in these residents, you can do that. And they put it out in front of their property, expecting that somebody will magically remove it or something, or maybe in a vacant lot. That should not be done. We have a landfill at Studley Park, and I don't think there's any place in Tobago that will take you more than an hour and a little bit, furthest point, to get to that space where you can put that debris there. usually the road, the thoroughfare, what we call the roadway, is the responsibility of the Division of Infrastructure. They're the ones who clean, but when you put your debris there, you exacerbate the problem. And what I've seen is people start now putting garbage
Yes.
on that, and it creates an issue. So all the various agencies sometimes have to partner to get rid of that. But we encourage in people, don't put your cuttings and stuff on the roadway. You need, again, that is your responsibility from your property. Now, in other jurisdictions, there are services to do that. We don't have that service provided at this time in Tobago, but it's one of the things that can be placed on the, should I say, schedule in the future. But right now, to take up cuttings, that's not what we do. That's your responsibility.
Okay, and is there a recommendation as to how they should get rid of the cuttings in their own home?
Yeah, well, now you can do composting.
Yes.
That's something that is available. Or if they are large, then you get your good friend, your neighbor who you may not have been doing well with, and you take it to the landfill. It's not very far, right there. We have provisions for that. We have space for that.
All right. And is there a fine attached to dumping in public spaces? I mean, this should be a rhetorical question at this point. But
Of course there is. There is a fine. Remember, you have the Litter Act, and the fine is at least $1,000. And for repeat offenders, you can have other things. No, but you have to see the person. You have to. This is one thing to, okay, there is dumping, but then who did it? Because a lot of people in Tobago, what they do is that they dump at night. So we have some hot spots, we call them. Mott, that's in the Bethany area. We have cleaned that area so many times. The garbage truck pass every day, twice a day in that area. There should be no reason for any accumulations. But guess what? We clean it today, tomorrow you go back. Union, there is an area there. There is somebody, and a lot of it sometimes is construction material that creates a problem that people are dumping there. Lambeau, there's a bin there, and there are some other areas, lowlands. People are actually leaving their communities with their garbage that they should put in front of their house for the garbage truck to take up, and go in other communities and dump. And I cannot understand why a person would do that when you should just have a receptacle in the front of your house. And because the garbage truck pass in every community every single day. Tobago should be the cleanest place. I would just share this. I went to Aruba recently. Garbage is taken up once a week, and there is no garbage in the community. 1 day a week only, your garbage is collected. Their population is just about twice ours. We should have no problem, because this is where you have your mosquitoes, because the receptacles can hold water, and your rodents as well.
Do you think that we should increase the surveillance of the roadways and these areas in order to combat this issue?
Those things come in as a last resort. It means when we have to do these things, put up cameras and so on, sometimes it means we're losing the fight. And we really shouldn't have to go there, but it may be a necessity. You put cameras in the hotspots so you can get people, and then you have to tighten up on the enforcement machinery. Meaning, if we have, in some areas, if you have an environmental issue, the time frame between when you serve a notice and the court is very short. So you can actually take action, because when you draw it out, it complicates the process.
Okay. All right. So we're hearing that, you said Lambeau, this Mott area, things like this. So is it that when the fogging starts, or whenever you all start to see the build-up of the numbers, as you said,
which we hope not,
is it that these are actually already areas of interest, seeing that the debris can fester a growth in the mosquito population that might be present?
Well, the thing is, in an open area like that, remember when you fog, you're fogging in the open, you will only get adults that are present at that time. So unlike residual spraying, but that you spray on walls, the efficacy of what we use is 6 to 8 weeks. So even though you fog in that area, only the adults that are present then, because the fog goes out in like a plume, and the adults are going to be destroyed. Okay. It doesn't destroy the larva. It doesn't destroy eggs. Yeah. So if I could just go back to the surveillance in other aspects, for example, we do what we call ovi-trapping, where we set traps to harvest eggs. And so we get an idea as to what may be happening in the environment. And then we do egg counts and so on. Then we do the perifocal surveillance, looking at destroying foci, right? And then we do the spraying that destroys adults. What we are using right now is environmental friendly response aquatim, which can actually help to destroy not just larvae but pupae as well. And because before we used ABIT, that wasn't effective against pupae. So even though you had pupae in the water, you killed the larvae, but the pupae will still hatch. Now we kind of gone a little above, and we are doing actually checking every stage in the mosquito cycle.
Okay. So I think you have shared a lot of information here that is very valuable to the community, especially the one where we're dumping on the roadways. I mean, yes, dengue is an issue, but I don't know if you've passed through the Bacolet area. It's very hard to drive staying on the road when the roadways are filled with the debris at the side. It's terrible.
And you can have accidents too, so people need to be more conscientious. I think I don't think people understand their individual responsibility. They think that the responsibility is that of the state. But remember, the more we distress the environment, it puts a strain on the resources of the state. And then you are affected. Then you complain to the same state that they are not doing what they're supposed to do. So we want to encourage a consciousness among our people. The children, they are home now. Go around the homes and look for the breeding sites. Stop throwing your snack wrappers and the bottles that you drink. Put them in the garbage.
And clean up the little toys as well. That also collects water.
Yeah, clean them up. Don't leave them outside. Rain fell last night. Somebody left a toy. In about 10 days, you're going to have mosquitoes.
Yes.
Yeah. I even clean my own drain in my community. I clean my drain. I walk outside. I pick up all the bottles that people throw in my street. Because I'm saying, and it's not just because I'm a public health inspector, but I like to see a nice environment.
Clean environment.
And the last thing I would just want to touch on is keep yourself healthy.
Yes.
Because it's your immune system that is going to be helping you. So keep yourself healthy,
Boost your immune system, and also we encourage you to use those oils, the lavender that was mentioned before, citronella and these type of things.
Very helpful.
It helps against
mosquito nets. If you have mosquito nets, you can use them as well.
I've not seen a mosquito net in very long,
but they might be scarce now.
Yes, but all of these are measures that can be put in place to reduce the infection of the dengue. As Mr. Bobb said, we need to keep that at a minimum, because dengue is not a good thing to have, believe you me. All right, I've seen a few people suffering from dengue. It really isn't nice. So avoid being bitten, and in order to do this, we need to keep our environment clean, green, and serene, if so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll allow Mr. Bobb to just share that contact information again for the public health sector that you can call in case there is debris in your home, or there needs to be some type of mediation for you and your neighbor in terms of the debris that your neighbor may have. So go ahead, Mr. Bobb.
All right. So the number to call is 639-1433. 639-1433. Now, I must advise you, we are supposed to do some spraying at our building on Friday, so that may not be a very good day to call after 10 o'clock. Yeah.
Yes.
But we have to also protect ourselves, because if we are responding, then you want to be in the best position to do that. So remember that you can call us, you can lodge complaints, we take the complaints, we respond to the complaints. We have been having many outside of programs like these, where people are saying, my neighbor is so-and-so, and we have been going into those and addressing those. But again, I want to say 639-1433 is the number that you want to call. If you want to have, even if you want to have your place sprayed, even though there are no cases in your area, we are going to respond. Even if somebody calls and say, I feel I have dengue, we are going to respond as well.
Okay, that's very nice to hear, actually. That's pretty proactive, even if it's the flu and it seems like it's dengue. Please stay. All right. So again, 639-1433, that's the number that you can call to lodge your complaints in terms of any reports of debris or anything like that in the area. The public health sector will get right on it. Please, if you are to visit the building, don't visit on Friday. That is the 26th of July. They'll be spraying their building. So lodge the complaints, visit the public health sector building on any other day except the 26th of July. All right. So thank you so much, Mr. Bobb, for joining us. It was a pleasure having you here to inform our public on how they should keep their environment clean. And for our viewers, we continue on. Of course, we are not just finished yet with our exciting morning. We encourage you to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.